maybe I'd be a little bit more into cosmetics, collecting items and trading if my backpack didn't look quite as horrific as this. Oh dear God, it makes me want to be sick. I'm a little bit OCD in the colloquial sense. I like a nice tidy flap, I like a nice tidy backpack, but this kind of makes me want to cry a little bit. Now TF2 is a tad old. You can kind of forgive it for having slightly outdated visual design patterns. A lot of new features have been added over the years. They've had to try and crowbar those in. Bit of a Half-Life 2 reference, accidentally. Why not? But it seems like it wouldn't take too much work to tidy up the UI just a tad and perhaps add some cool new features to make our lives so much easier when it comes to backpack management. Now, backpack management may not be the most exciting topic I've ever talked about on this channel, but bear with, you're in for a treat. I've been flexing my Photoshop muscles and I've created a few mock-ups to share with you today to illustrate some features that I think would be absolutely awesome to bring to the TF2 backpack. Now, I'm sure there are some videos out there that look at this topic. For some reason, I couldn't find them. You know, typing in backpack into YouTube, you just get people showing their backpack, right? I found a few forums about it, you know, a few mock-ups out there, but I'm hoping I touch upon some new ideas in this video today. And of course, you can install custom UIs, but my understanding is that these are purely just a reskin. I will show you a reskin, but today we're more going to focus on new little features, very simple little features that would be easy to implement, but would be really awesome. I try not to mention this too much, it sounds really douchey when I do, but this is kind of my job. I design user interfaces. It's called UX design. It stands for user experience. They thought X sounded cooler than E, apparently. Who knows? So yeah, hopefully my experience within this industry will contribute to this discussion. Now, one last caveat before we jump right into my 5 awesome features I'm going to show you. Obviously Valve are not going to do this. Don't get your hopes up. We know they're a very limited team and we know they have lots of other massive updates hopefully they're working on. I'm pretty sure if they said, you know what, we're not going to do the heavy update, we're going to instead tweak the UI a little bit, I think people would get a little bit triggered and enraged. So it's kind of wishful thinking, right? But just a bit of fun. And at the very end of the episode, we're also going to look at some other little pet hates of mine within the TF2 UI. Okay, so the very first feature is grouping items. To my naive little mind, this seems like it would be really simple to implement. So here's a quick mock-up I put together. Imagine if things like crates, metal, keys, sandwiches, if you're that way inclined, they would automatically group up, pile up, and have a little number in the corner denoting how many you have. It would save a lot of space to begin with, it would make the screen so much cleaner, and it just seems to make so much sense. I think the one thing I'd love to hear from you guys as we go through these is if there's anything I'm saying that would somehow break trading, the marketplace, the TF2 economy in air quotes. I think the only thing in this case that would kind of be broken is obviously your backpack expanders. They'd be slightly less useful because you just suddenly have so much more space. On top of that, you could also have folders. Why the heck not? I think each folder would probably have to have a limit, but maybe just right click, create folder, name it, drag a few items in, and away you go. Just a simple way just to put some of your favorite things or things you want to sell in one little place. Oh, just looking at that mock-up makes me so happy. Oh, just imagine. Okay, so the third thing I wanted to chat about, and this would mean kind of a bigger change, but would be so cool. Imagine a separate area within your backpack for unlocking weapons. I've called it the weapon cabinet, or you know, the weapon locker, whatever. I've definitely heard someone talk about this in the past, and I cannot recall for the life of me where it was or who it was, so forgive me, but I remember thinking that's an awesome idea and I'd love to talk about it more in the future. So imagine you go into your backpack and you have a second tab at the top like this, and inside you've got a way to navigate through all the different classes, and within each class you've got the different weapon slots so you can toggle between those, and then you simply can see all the weapons for that class in that slot laid out before you, which is really useful to be honest as a feature anyway. And the way it would work is the ones you haven't unlocked yet would be greyed out. As you hover over these, you could get more information, you could buy them, you could check out all the different war paints that you own, and once you unlock something, it's unlocked for good, and that's the key here because mildly embarrassing story. In the past, I have genuinely accidentally deleted an item, and then I wanted to make a video with it. I think it was like the Quickie Bomb launcher or something, and I just didn't have it, and I was like, I swear I had that. I think I accidentally scrapped it. Oops. But yeah, this would be a great way for new players to take a look at what's on offer for a class, and maybe there'd be a way to buy the complete set for each class or what have you at a much reduced price, unlike what you can get at the moment, which is a little bit extortionate. There is an argument also for removing weapon unlocks altogether. I don't have a strong feeling either way there. I mean, I guess occasionally it is a bit of a disadvantage for new players. You know, weapons such as the crossbow for medic, the gunslinger, they're kind of vital, right? So it's a bit weird that new players might not get those. But yeah, at the very least, the idea of unlocking them and then you have them for life and it's done and it's neat. And on top of that, it also has this kind of collectible thing going on. It's almost like you want to collect them all, and it might be quite satisfying seeing this fill up. Okay, so the next amazing Toofty feature is, I think I oversold it a bit. Quite a simple one, really. For this, I've just replaced the sorting mechanism, but it could be as well as sorting, obviously. But yeah, as well as, or instead of, you know, piling up your items and making folders, a very quick way just to filter your backpack would be really useful. How much metal have I got? I have no idea. I have to click through each page because my backpack is a complete mess. But here you can just click on metal and very quickly see it all, and perhaps right click, create a folder, drag it in, boom! You've got all your metal in a folder. It's beautiful, I tell you. Other ideas for filters, you know, taunts, actions, unusuals, war paints. You could put pretty much anything in there, right? And I'd love to hear your suggestions in the comments below for that one too. Okay, so the final feature is the idea of having an extra cosmetic slot. There are so many items in the TF2 universe that I'm constantly having to switch out and swap between some of my favourites. Especially as a content creator, I get a lot of gifts and I really want to make sure that I use all these gifts to show how much I appreciate them. So I think adding an extra slot like this would be really simple and just would be so awesome. And just that tiny little addition, you can imagine how different everyone would look and how much more potential that would give people in terms of looking ridiculous. So in this mock-up here, I had to kind of tweak the orientation of things a little bit, so having the image to the left, the text to the right, and just making each item take up less vertical space. But yeah, I think it works quite well. Easy peasy. Gaben, are you listening? Volvo, are you out there? Make it a thing. Cheers, mate. So as I was mentioning earlier, there are quite a lot of reskins out there. Now, some of them are horrendous, and some of them are quite nice. Here's a few very quick examples I grabbed off of Google for you. I was actually a big fan of this one with the transparent background for each item. Thought that was very cool. So yeah, I thought I'd do a very quick reskin of my own. So yeah, I didn't spend too long on this, but I just put together a very quick mock-up. All I would do personally is kind of reduce visual clutter, remove some of the boxiness, for example around the numbers for each weapon slot, make it a bit more minimal and just tidy it up a bit, you know, tweak the alignment a little bit so the margins look all nice and neat. And that's pretty much all I'd do, to be honest. I wouldn't change it quite as significantly as some of the ones I've seen. And I think some people get a little bit carried away. They're like, oh, you know, go mad, blue, change the font. You know, a modern font, it looks nice and it's more legible, which is great, but it just doesn't fit in the TF2 universe for me. It doesn't quite make sense, if you see what I mean. So anyway, yeah, that's my little mock-up. I was quite chuffed with that. Dead simple, minimal, but it still has the essence of TF2 about it. So yeah, there we go. A bunch of cool new features for TF2. Now I wanted to use a little bit of this time at the end just to have a little moan. Now everyone has their wish list for TF2 and like, I'm sure you have one, but some of these things almost feel like bugs to me and they just trigger me. I don't know why. So yeah, the first one is, you see this little join now button? I really want to be able to tap enter to click it, okay? I know I'm being a bit fussy, a bit picky here, but when that pops up, I just want to whack the enter button and jump in. Little bit annoying, but might just be me. Number 2, this is even more annoying, UI elements overlapping. The reason this is the case, presumably, because as I mentioned before, they had to keep adding new features in, iterating on the UI, and some things just simply didn't fit, and they didn't have the time to sort of reshuffle the entire page. The most notable example is voting for the next map at the top of your screen, smack bang over the top scorer, so you cannot read that information. It's just really annoying. It's just really annoying. But you know, maybe that's just me too. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, but they like to ask you to rate the game after every single flipping match of your life. I think you've got enough data now, TF2. It's fine, Gaben. Just call it a day, surely. The reason this annoys me is because sometimes I'm sort of typing in chat, it comes up and I'm panicking because for some reason it's not typing. I see the thing, you got to close that. It's just stressing me out, man. Stressing me out. Things that would be like much higher priority, I would imagine, for most of us is improving the tutorials for new players, maybe a vote to disable random crits, which is very topical at the moment. And one last thing I'll leave you with actually. Scrap.tf, I believe it is, you can auto scrap your duplicates. Imagine if that was a button within your backpack. How cool would that be? Would that break the economy? Is there even an economy to break at this point? Probably not. I've always wondered if the tediousness of creating scrap metal and combining that was kind of fundamental to making the economy work, you know, that time it takes. But because it exists out there now, pop it in the backpack UI. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So yeah, I realised that was a very unusual episode for this channel. Hope you found some of that interesting. I'm just going to end with a very few quick thank yous. Some of these are super old, so forgive me. But thank you to Remdaug for the Heli Song knife, strange with a stat clock attached, and the strange bot killer sniper rifle. Thank you to Tobby for the key. Really appreciate that. Thank you to Swiggity Swole on the Doll, lovely name you got there, for the strange nuke, the strange Shahansha, the strange Dalokos bar, and the strange red tape recorder. Thank you to the Derpy Cuckoo for the strange Tundra Top, the Autumn Mark II Tomislav, and finally thank you to Bobby Russell for the respectless rubber glove. As always, I really appreciate your support, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Like the two spies changed to something like medical heavy, please, if that's right. Seeing as you're both stock. Oh, there's another sniper now. No, a spy. Really, guys?